Probably just prop that up against your laptop screen if you wanted to. Oh, you got a
Yeah.
tripod.
Yeah. Well, I got a little thing. Just set it up right here. Sweet.
All righty. Well,
let's do it.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Joel Hartman, here on the Prospect Dugout video podcast. Some quick news. Today's the NFL virtual draft, and yesterday, Major League Baseball handed out some news on the Red Sox from 2018 cheating scandal. They suspended a camera guy, so I don't know what that was all about. But anyway, every Sunday we have our weekly virtual mastermind on Facebook Live. I'll be moderating along with Giants minor league hitting coach Craig Maddox. He's also the co-founder of Prospect Dugout. Each week we have a guest panel of professional players and coaches. Last week we had MLB hitting coaches from the Texas Rangers, Calix Crabb and Alex Berg. And this week we're doing a pitching mastermind, and we're joined by former MLB pitchers Vic Black and Joe Beimel. So if you want to submit a question to have the panel talk about, go to prospectdugout.tv to submit your question. And then don't forget to email your videos for repost on Instagram. Make sure to put your username in the subject line. Today we're doing episode 6 of the Prospect Dugout podcast, and I'm joined by Major League Baseball player Matt Joyce. He's also a businessman. He's currently with the Miami Marlins. This is going to be his 13th year in the big leagues. He's hit 145 home runs and over 200 doubles. That's amazing. So let's just hop right into it. Matt, thank you so much for joining me today.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. So it's only your 6th episode. Yes. So you're relatively new to this, right?
Relatively new, but just getting after it each day.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. You enjoying it?
And I am having a blast just being able to communicate with, big league guys, being able to communicate with coaches, former big league guys, but especially being able to hear the feedback from the audience and answer some questions from kids that are, trying to get to the next level. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. I love that interaction with the younger generation, obviously answering those questions and trying to help them learn. I wish I had that ability when I was young to ask big leaguers questions and pick their brain. So it's cool that we have that option with technology nowadays.
Absolutely. So speaking of questions, let's jump right into our first question.
Let's do it.
What was your hitting approach like last year with Atlanta? You didn't start out the year playing every day. So what was your focus on when you did play?
Yeah, I think the pinch hitting role is really difficult. You obviously are kind of thrown into the fire to where you really don't have a feel for timing. You don't have a feel for your swing and where you're at with everything. So you really have to simplify everything. And a lot of times my approach was really simple. It was just that. It was just really simple. And I would think, let me just try to square up this baseball, let it go wherever it wants to go. But I'm literally going to try to take the knob in my nose to the ball and just stay on the ball as long as possible. If I pull it, great. If I hit it the other way, great. I'm just trying to square up a baseball and get a good pitch to hit. I spend a lot of time getting prepared and during the season, you're going every single day. So you really have to have a very good routine that's going to give you the best opportunity to be successful in whatever role that you have. So for me, last year, I had to spend a lot of time during the game hitting off a machine to get me ready for 95, 96 miles an hour, coming off the bench. And a lot of times, 90, 95% of the time, I'm looking for the fastball to hit. Occasionally I like to sit on off speed when I think a pitcher's really try to get ahead with off speed. And then from there, man, I just keep it simple. There was times where if I try to do too much, I would just either foul off the pitch that I should square up. Swing would just get a little bit too long. So I had to try to really quiet my lower body and use a little bit more hands and just square up the ball as consistently as I could.
Nice, man. So I got a question from a audience member, from a viewer on Prospect Dugout, at Joey San Giulio. He said he wants to know, when did you first realize that you could make it to the bigs?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's funny because I didn't realize it until probably AAA, honestly. you get drafted. I was drafted in the 12th round by the Tigers, and you kind of show up for minor league camp, and there's just so many talented ball players from all over the place. So you're just kind of thrown into the mix, and you're just trying to stand out. You're trying to do whatever you can to stand out. And there's a lot of levels to work through depending on where you come and where you start. I started in short season rookie ball in Oneonta, low A. I was fortunate enough to skip high A, went to double A, struggled really bad at double A. And then kind of, really started to figure some stuff out, made some adjustments. And then triple A, that first month I just was crushing it. And, there's nothing like that phone call when you get that phone call that says, hey, you're coming up for the big leagues, and you're starting tonight against Dice K and the Red Sox. And you go from 2,000 fans to 40,000 fans in the stands, and it was Thursday night baseball where millions of people are watching. Dude, I couldn't feel I couldn't feel my legs. So it was a really cool experience, something I'll never forget. And I just didn't really know how close I was until I got to AAA, and I was like, man, I got a shot here.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I got another question from @BigFishNick27. He says, or he wants to know, was hitting that grand slam in the Garza no-hitter your coolest moment in Major League Baseball, or was it something else?
Yeah, that was one of them for sure. That was really cool. Obviously, Scherzer had a no-hitter. Scherzer and Garza had a no-hitter in the 6th inning. Scherzer ended up hitting somebody and then walking 2 guys. He either hit 2 guys or walked 2 guys. So the bases were loaded. In the bottom of the 6th, 2 outs, 3-2 count. He still had his no-hitter, and then hit a grand slam to break up his no-hitter, and then Garza ended up finishing his no-hitter. So I always tell people there's really 3 moments for me that are my top 3, my favorite. That was one of them. My first home run in the big leagues was in front of my dad, who, nice. It was cool. It was really cool. And we were playing the Yankees, and it was my first at bat in front of him in the big leagues, home run. And he never got to see me hit a home run in the minor leagues. He was going through a lot of health issues, so we didn't really know what was going to happen. So it was a very emotional, very cool, memorable moment for us. And the third one was game 161, the game before Longo hit the 162 homer.
Yeah.
I hit a 3-run homer to get us to game 162 that obviously, gets kind of forgotten about, but it was still a really cool moment because, you're playing the Yankees, and obviously we're in the hunt, we're in the mix of things. We're down 1 or 2 runs, and you hit a big 3-run homer, and obviously got us to game 162. And then Longo kind of came through game 162 to get us into the playoffs, which obviously that was one of the most memorable nights in baseball. So those 3 moments are, really special to me.
Yeah, no. And so that was 2009, right? With that Longo home run, the Longo home run.
Yeah, I think that was 2009.
And so that was your first season with the Rays, and you had actually really only
Man, I don't know. It's a long time ago, dude.
Yeah.
I got caught in 2008, 2009. I was kind of up and down. I think I was down mostly. That might have been 2010, because I don't think we made the playoffs in 2009. So it was either 10 or 11.
Okay. Was it your All-Star year?
2011
was 2011. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
No, that's cool, man. That's awesome just to have that memory bank of those 3 things. It's pretty cool. So okay, you hinted on a little bit ago about being a 12th round draft pick, but let me ask you. Talk to me about playing at the D2 level at Florida Southern in Lakeland. At the time it was a powerhouse D2, you guys winning a lot. But a lot of players nowadays are looking down on a D2 or D3 because they think that D1 is really the only way that they're going to be able to make it. And then can you kind of just hit on a little bit more about coming up as a 12th round pick and sticking in the big leagues for, you're going on your 13th season. So not a lot of those guys that come from that level make it.
Yeah. So I don't think it was that different. Honestly, when I was looking at D1, D2, I mean, I had like 2 options D1, but they were like 30% scholarship. My options were between University of Tampa, Florida Southern, and I think like Manatee Community College just came down to my top three because they were full rides, and I knew I wanted to go to school. I was told if you were a good player and you had talent, they're going to find you. There's obviously scouts, all over the place, and if you can play, they're going to know about you. Obviously Florida Southern, they had a pretty good track record of producing some good ball players and having some really good baseball teams and some championship seasons. So I liked that about Florida Southern, as well as the academic side, as well as being close to home. I think it was just a perfect fit for me and my family. But the Division I, Division II thing. I mean, when I was there playing at Florida Southern, I mean, we were really confident that if we played teams in Division I, that we would compete, and a lot of times we would win. We felt like we had a really good team. I was fortunate to be on a team that we had like seven or eight guys drafted from that team.
Wow.
So, so we had a lot of talent there. So obviously the more talent you're going to have on that team, the more scouts are going to come. I think we had like 30 scouts the first game of my junior season. And we had some pretty good players. And obviously, I was lucky and fortunate enough to be one of the only guys that made it to the big leagues and stuck around. But there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, staying healthy, taking care of yourself, and the nutrition side, the stretching, the making sure you're taking care of the little nicks and bumps and bruises that you kind of accumulate along the way, I think is huge for, sustaining a longer career, because you have new guys coming in. You have new guys coming in every year trying to take your job. So you have to play. And I always tell these guys, it's number one, you have to be healthy, and then you can focus on functional mobility and then functional strength. A lot of times our egos get in the way, and we want to curl and we want to bench press the house, so we look good in a bathing suit. But baseball, baseball players aren't necessarily wired that way. We're not. Our bodies have to be a little bit more mobile and flexible. So between spending a lot of time on staying healthy and mitigating the distractions. It's very easy in the minor leagues. You play a game, it's very easy to go out to some bars and kind of get caught up in that nightlife, especially when you're 20 something years old, young 20-year-old, and if you're single on the road, and it can be a little fun, but it's also a huge distraction. Mitigating those distractions, staying healthy, and then that ability to really focus and stay focused for a very long time, I think really starts to weed out the guys that just don't want it as much. I mean, you have to really be dedicated to this game and your craft and love it, in order to not only make it to the big leagues but stick around. They say it's easy to make it to the big leagues. It's a lot harder to stay there. And it kind of makes sense. It gets a little bit harder every year. Guys get a little bit better. You get new guys coming in, and it's been a roller coaster of a ride. But you got to keep working, man. It never ends.
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this question. What's the best advice that you learned early on as a pro? Because you're just talking about like handling life as an early professional player. What's the best advice you learned early on in your professional career that you're still using today?
Yeah, I think besides taking care of yourself, like I said, I mean, obviously our bodies are part of your job. That's how you make money. So like what you put into your body, your nutrition, your training, how you take care of yourself is huge. I started to learn a lot more when I got to the big leagues and started talking to these guys and trainers, and it's gotten a lot it's got a lot better over the years, and there's a lot more knowledge out there, and there's a lot more people trying to help, and it's kind of filtered down. But I would say the other thing is learning how to slow the game down, and you slow the game down by slowing yourself down. And a lot of times how you do that is by your breathing, right? And it's very easy when like I said, when I got caught up 12th round, I got caught up Cinco de Mayo to go play against the Red Sox. Obviously, first game in the big leagues. I mean, I couldn't feel my leg. I had a ton of adrenaline. I was just so jumpy and I was so excited
Hmm.
that you have to really back off. You have to back off. You have to slow down. You have to find where that level and that effort level is. That's going to give you the best chance to be consistently successful.
Hmm.
And for me, it was always like 75 to 80%. So a lot of times when I'm hitting and I'm in the box, I'll do my breathing. I try to slow everything down. I try to look at the situation and have my approach. I do my preparation before the game. I know, what I'm going to try to do. And then from there, I'm working at like a 75 to 80% effort level, because once I get above that, then I start trying to do too much. And when you start trying to do too much, your head pulls off the ball, your front side is going to pull off the ball, or your backside, you're going to lose your swing on your backside is going to get long. So they always say like a more relaxed swing is something that's going to work a lot better. So that was something that stuck with me for a really long time. I think it's helped me a lot to work at that 75, 80% effort level, not trying to kill the ball,
Hmm.
and really just trying to square up the baseball. And if you square it up at the right trajectory, it's going to go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure. You kind of hinted on preparation, like before the game,
mhm.
in what you were just talking about. Can you kind of expand on that just a little bit, like in terms of what kind of material are you using to prepare yourself for a game, for an at bat, for a series? Kind of break that down.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of information, and we have it almost is a little overwhelming at times. I think guys can get a little overwhelmed. I think there's a lot of information, and really whatever you want to use. We have a bat system, which is like an online program that basically tracks your videos. So you can enter in any information you want to say, okay, we're playing the Cardinals. Okay, I want to go look at Wainwright video at bats, Matt Joyce versus Adam Wainwright. For the last 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. And then I'm going to go watch, okay, how did he attack me? Okay, how did he attack me again when runners in scoring position? What has he been doing lately? And I have an idea to say, okay, this is my game plan. This is my approach that I'm going to take into the game. I'm going to be looking for, a fastball early on. He's probably going to try to, once we get to this count, he's probably going to try to work a cutter in. Okay. And I'll literally go through and visualize, because I don't, a cutter in is really hard to hit. I'm going to go through and visualize, okay, see the cutter in. I'm going to tell myself, no, I'm taking the cutter in. I'm looking for this pitch, maybe a cutter out over the plate a little bit. 2-0, when we played them in the playoffs this last year with the Braves, he got 2-0, and I think it was my third at bat. And I knew that he was going to throw me an off speed pitch, because, it was a 1-0 game. And he threw a curveball. He was just trying to get it over for a strike, and I was really just waiting back, trying to drive something, because I know that he loves his curveball and he has a really good feel for it. And I crushed it. Obviously, it caught it at the wall, but I had the right plan, and I executed it really well. It just it was unfortunate. It was 1 or 2 degrees too high, as opposed to, that's the difference between a home run and an out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So really looking at, okay, how have they attacked you before? A lot of teams are going to attack you very similarly in their pitches. So they're going to say, okay, be careful on this count. This guy's hitting the fastball really well. Let's, start off speed with him. And that's the team approach. Now, obviously, each individual pitcher is a little bit different depending
Mhm.
on what their stuff is, what they have a feel for, and you kind of have to analyze and understand that side of things to say, okay, it doesn't look like he has a really good feel for his changeup. He's not throwing it for a strike. I'm gonna stay on the fastball. If I recognize changeup, I'm gonna give it to him. I'm gonna force him to throw it for a strike. So understanding like that side of the game to say what's going on with the game, how are they attacking me, doing your preparation, and that's part of building out a plan. It's building out your approach. And then from there, once you have your plan, your approach, you're going to go to your cage. You're going to go to the cage and you're going to work on, okay, how do I execute this plan? I'm going to go through my swing, my drills, get my swing right. And then I'm going to work at the end to say, okay, this is my plan. And then I'm going to work to get my swing and my approach ready.
Yeah. So let's expound on that for a second, because all that is great, but what do you say to the high school player that's sitting here hearing you say that and saying, well, I don't have access to all that information.
Right.
I don't have access to all that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you got to understand the other team doesn't either. So they don't have the same plan against you that as a big leaguer they would. So it's more important to talk to your teammates. When I was at Florida Southern, we used to talk to each other all the time. As soon as the leadoff hitter, would go in, he was one of my best friends, Jeff Strickland, he would go in, he would hit, and I'd be like, all right, what do you got? His fastball is 2-seaming. His fastball's got some ride on it. His curveball is pretty sharp, 12-6. Changeup, it looks like it's not moving that well. It doesn't look like it has a good feel for it. Whatever it is, you have to talk to each other and really figure out, what's this guy's stuff? What's his plan? What's he trying to do? And you have to look at the hitters that are very similar to you to say, okay, this is a left-handed hitter. He's probably going to attack me, just like he's attacking him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to really watch his at bat and to see like, how is he attacking him? And then I'm going to have a better idea. So watching the game, man, there's nothing better than watching the game and really, figuring out what's going on, how is he attacking you, and then coming up with a plan and making the adjustment. Baseball is a game of adjustments, man.
Yeah, no, that is great advice. That's high level.
So I had somebody ask me, how do you crush a curveball?
Okay.
I just saw it up here, because off speed was something that I really struggled for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And still, I think it's off speed's a little difficult to hit. Griffin, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us. Off speed, I mean, for me was really difficult to hit, because you don't really practice hitting off speed a lot. You get batting practice and they're just throwing it straight. So I had to incorporate off speed drills. So a lot of times when they're flipping underhand, that's one of the, I'll go through, kind of get loose a little bit, and then we'll go hard, soft.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll feel a pause, because off speed, you have to pause. If you're coming up and out of the contact point, the contact zone, you're going to be in trouble. And then from there, it becomes a timing issue.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, there's certain times where I like to sit off speed, because it's a timing. I might start a hair later, because I'm looking for an off-speed pitch. And obviously this is only 5-10% of the time. 90% of the time I'm on the fastball. I want to hit the fastball. That's what my strength is. But there are certain times that you just know they're just going to try to lay one in there. And a lot of times off speed, when I'm sitting on it, I'm going to start a hair later, and I'm going to look up in the zone, because those are the ones that you're going to drive. Those are the ones that you're going to hit well. And you don't have to crush it. It's the same thing. You're staying to the middle part of the field. You're trying to hit a line drive the other way. And you're really just trying to stay through the ball. But it's something that you just have to practice and incorporate into your drills. Like a hard, soft flip drill helps a lot. And so, wanted to address that first.
Yeah, for sure. That's full commitment. If you're committing before that pitch to actually start a little bit later, there's no going back from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I say I only do it, a small percentage of the time, and the percentages have to be really high.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, almost 70%, for me.
Right.
And it's, it has to go through like a gut feeling. Like, I know he's just going to start me off the off speed. He's going to try to get ahead. He's going to flip something up in the zone. And it's, man, you hang a curveball, it's a good pitch to hit.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
But the off speed down in the zone is a little bit harder.
All right, so let's jump outside of baseball a little bit. You're a business guy. You got your foundation around the bases. You're an owner of the Empire League, professional league, and then also you're actually spreading some F45 gyms around the Tampa Bay area as a franchise owner.
Yep.
It's obvious that baseball isn't the thing. Like once your baseball career is done, you got to keep doing something, right? So baseball is the method we use to get to that next thing. So what is your next thing? What are you trying to build outside of baseball or after baseball, and how has playing Major League Baseball influenced your business life?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say it started in the minor leagues when we had long bus rides. We had like 12-hour bus rides sometimes. And, I started picking up some books because I was struggling through the minor leagues. I had some things that I needed to learn. And a lot of it started with like self-improvement because I just wasn't thinking right. And I wasn't really being positive with myself. I had to, I had a lot of negative thoughts and walking into a box, into the batter's box. Like if you're thinking negatively, it's hard. It's hard enough. You're going to fail a lot. So you have to be really super positive with baseball. And I picked up, one of the books I picked up was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And, he talked a lot about building passive cash flow to cover your expenses. He called it getting out of the rat race. And I loved it. I love the idea of that because baseball doesn't last forever, man. You got a short window and nobody knows how long that window is going to be open. So for me, I actually started in real estate. And when I got called up 2008 and then 2009, I want to say I bought my first single family investment home. It was like in the ghetto and it had like holes in it and it had graffiti and it was cool, man. It's a cool process to kind of look back over the last 10 years and see, what we've been able to build and the real estate portfolio that we've been able to accumulate and acquire and really to add value to. That was a big thing. We started with single family homes. We would purchase it, we would renovate it, we would rent it out, and then we would refinance, pull the cash out, and then reinvest the cash into the next single family home. And then we started, after we did single family homes, we worked into multifamily. So we've done more multifamily the last few years. And now my business real estate partner, Mike Mintzberg at Site Real Estate, he's awesome. Has done an incredible job building his business, and he's working on bigger development projects. And then over the last like 5-6 years, we really wanted to stay around the game. We wanted to be able to give back to players and provide some opportunities for them because obviously I was so fortunate. And one of my best friends, Eddie, actually came and called me. He was like, "Hey, man, I have this really cool opportunity to take over this league," and he just felt like it was a calling for him. And obviously that's how the Empire League was established and born. And from there, we really try to provide an opportunity to guys that weren't lucky enough and fortunate enough to be drafted with an opportunity to continue to play. And there's still a lot of kids out there. Maybe they were hurt. Maybe they didn't get the opportunity that somebody else did. They didn't get seen the way they did. But this provides them an opportunity to continue to chase that dream. And it's been cool. It's been cool. I've had a lot of feedback from the guys that have played at the Empire League, just thanking us. Really appreciative to be able to continue to play. And it's been a fun learning process. I mean, it's really has not been something that we've made, really hardly any money off of. We haven't made any money. This is something that we're trying to provide for players, and it's also a business. So there's the business side of things to say you got to pay for travel, you got to pay for hotels, you got to pay for housing and stadiums, and over the last 5-6 years, it's been a learning process just to say, okay, well, this has to be a business, and only a profitable business is going to be successful and is going to be able to be sustainable. So we have to figure out how do we minimize our expenses as well as providing enough value to be profitable for these players. So it's been a really a cool learning process. I think we've done an incredible job. I think we're continuing to work to always get better and refine the league, get better facilities and stadiums. And we have these towns up north that are just absolutely loving the Empire League because it gives them hope. It gives them something to go do and watch. And it's become a passion project for us. And I think it's a really cool opportunity for a lot of people that weren't as fortunate as I was to get drafted. And then around the basis, the same, so, it's kind of along the same lines. I wanted to give back to kids that were in need. So we do a lot of work with Children's Cancer Center, All Children's Hospital. We try to donate, Make a Wish, and we'll do a couple events each year just to raise money and donate back to those causes, which I mean, again, it's so rewarding. It's so fulfilling when you're able to do that. And then obviously at 45, man, I love training. I love working out. I love the healthy lifestyle. And I did one of these programs. I did one of these workouts, and I fell in love with the program. It was exactly what I was doing to train for a baseball season. I would take all my equipment. I would have some buddies come out. We would go out to the beach, and then we would run like a little circuit, and we would do slam balls and push sleds and all kinds of different stuff. And somebody asked me, "Have you tried F45?" Because we talked about training one day. And it was literally what I do, just taken and packaged, branded, and just done better than, I would have done.
Yeah.
So, it's a cool business concept. It's very similar business model to Orange Theory Fitness. It's honestly a lot of work. It's a lot more than I thought. Obviously, you have to have an operational managing partner for me, because baseball is obviously the priority. And then trying to figure out how to prioritize, baseball, F45, Empire League, round the bases, it becomes a really full plate, right? So understanding how much time I could dedicate to each, while not sacrificing, what I'm trying to accomplish and the dreams and the goals that I have, because it's very easy to get overwhelmed. So looking at your time, looking at your schedule, and building out your time and schedule is huge. So yeah, it's just a lot of it's what I enjoyed. It's what I've learned over the years. It's what I just really enjoyed reading about: business, finance, real estate. I wanted to build an empire, man. I wanted to build an empire. I wanted to, I didn't see anything wrong with being couple hundred millionaire or a billionaire. If if you're providing that much value, you're going to get a lot of money in return. And then what you do with that money, you have a lot of options with this money. I can donate it to, whatever cause I want. I can take care of my family. I don't think, I think the idea of people being rich and, a negative connotation to being rich, I think it's outdated. I think it's, I think money basically makes you more of what you are, is kind of what they say. And it's kind of true, because I mean, I have a beautiful house, I have a beautiful family, I'm very fortunate, but it provides options. It gives you a lot of options to go through and open doors that maybe necessarily you couldn't before.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I got one more question for you, but before I ask, I'm just going to kind of wrap up the podcast here. Thank you, Matt, so much for joining me today. If you're watching, thank you so much for watching. If you're not following us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, please go ahead and do that. Make sure you download the Prospect Dugout app. That's something that we've created because we saw a need for high school players to get exposure. They're spending a lot of money. You guys are spending a lot of money going to these showcases and all these events, but what's going on right now? There's no events. There's no showcases, right?
Yep.
College coaches are still looking for players. They're using social media. We've created the platform that allows you to post who you are as a player, your schedule, your stats, your highlights, and be in a database that college coaches are searching. So go ahead and download that in the App Store. Leave a comment below. This is on YouTube and Facebook. Leave a comment below. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was from today. Give us your feedback, and we would definitely appreciate a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Greatly appreciate that. In closing, for episode 6 of the Prospect Dugout podcast, I just want to ask our guest, Matt Joyce with the Miami Marlins, can you kind of just leave the audience with a little bit of advice, a little bit of encouragement? You're a Major League Baseball player right now. being affected by COVID-19, being in a lockdown, shutdown. Everything's shut down. So kind of let everybody know quickly how you're coping with that, and then maybe just a little word of advice for a parent or a coach or a player that that's watching.
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, man, come from a state of positivity. Really, I've heard a couple good quotes, and obviously one of the ones that I told you earlier. One of the quotes that kind of sticks out for me is obviously, if you want to change the world around you, you have to start with yourself. So, I mean, really taking the time to work on yourself and learn and develop and grow was something that helped me tremendously. And the quote that I kind of told you earlier, Darwin said, "It's not the strongest or the smartest that survive; it's the most adaptable." So, really being flexible and not necessarily, giving up on your dreams because of the environment or the situation, but figuring out how to work around the environment and the situation, and becoming very resourceful to still chase those dreams and those visions that you have. I think you have to have a dream and a vision. I think it gives you something to shoot for. And I think it's part of that motivation and drive that makes people accomplish really cool things. So for me, smile, stay positive. We will definitely bounce back from this. I think we're getting close to opening of a lot of businesses, and we're going to go through the different phases. And yeah, man, I mean, just continue to work and try to enjoy the process of getting better. I think that was one of the things for me that, when I get frustrated or get upset and don't want to do the work, just how do you enjoy the process of getting better? Because the destination, it's long out there, and then once you get there, it's you're kind of like, okay, well, this is it. All right, well, let's go for the next thing. You never really arrive. You're always kind of shooting. You're always going there. So you might as well enjoy the process while you're doing it.
That's awesome, man. So I appreciate you joining me today. I'm gonna go ahead and close the podcast. Don't hang up, because I want to talk to you for a minute. But thank you, Matt Joyce, for joining. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks guys for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got a lot of value out of it. And yeah, Joel, thanks for having me, man.
Ready.